Hello, my name is Matthias Cavodi. I'd like to welcome guys to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the West Coast Avengers. We're going to cover issues 8 through 16. We're going to have a real fun ride with Steve Englehart. Like, if you haven't read the old school West Coast Avengers from the 80s and the miniseries, you're really missing out because there's some crazy shit that takes place in this comic book. So, without further ado, I'm going to tell you guys what I liked, what I didn't like. Again, if you haven't read it, take my word for it. You're going to have a blast, okay? So, first story. I read this a while back, so I don't remember the specifics. I read it like a month ago. West Coast Avengers, they come back from a mission. I'm not really sure. I think they were dealing with the cat people or something like that. Hawkeye's trying to convince Ben Grimm to be part of the West Coast Avengers. It's to a point that he's almost trolling him. Like, he starts to drive him crazy. While at the same time we have Firebird, who's dying to be a teammate, and like Hawkeye never gives her the time of the day, or tells her, it's like, no, you don't have the right stuff to be on the team. There's a whole thing that there's only can be 6 members on the Avengers. It's like, hey, Ben Grimm's here before you, so we're gonna keep him. So it's just this really weird dynamic of poor Firebird wanting to be part of the team, and Hawkeye just not letting her on, while Ben Grimm doesn't want to be on the team. He's sort of like tagging along for a couple of missions, and that's it. So what happens is, this takes place also after the death of the Ultron that wanted to be Henry Pym's son. That was just, again, if you have to go back and read that because it's just priceless. We have an Ultron that wants Henry Pym to be his dad and have a good father-son relationship. It's just priceless. It's bizarre as hell. So Hank Pym's dealing with the death of his son, sort of. So they're back at the Avengers Mansion, the West Coast Mansion in I think it was Palo Alto. What happens is this Southwest superhero team called the Rangers arrive. They're looking for Firebird, who was one of their team members. She had gone missing in action. The thing is, she was actually hanging out with the West Coast Avengers. They wanted to know what's going down. So while they're talking about this whole situation, I can't remember, I think she's called Lone Star or something like that, touches Firebird, and Firebird looks at her and says, like, hey, something's really wrong with you, because her powers are so like mystical and of that nature. So she says, like, you're possessed by a demon. And basically, when she says this, things go from bad to worse. We get the classic, well, it's actually not a classic superhero misunderstanding, but she was actually right. She's actually possessed by a demon. They don't know it yet, but we get a pretty epic battle between the Rangers and the West Coast Avengers. The demon gets unmasked. Seems that this demon has something to do with Master Pandemonium. So what they do is they're going to send Mockingbird undercover. She's going to pose as, I can't remember, I think she's called Lone Star, something like that. She's going to pose as her, and they're going to try to find Master Pandemonium, who's like, with Graviton, the 2 main villains of the series. Mockingbird's able to find Master Pandemonium. We have the West Coast Avengers that are hot on her trail. We learn about the origins of Master Pandemonium, who's like, he's such a stupid villain, but he's so bad he's good. Like, it makes him awesome because he's so lame. So we discovered that he was an actor, got into an accident. Obviously, he was a guy with a real big ego, very self-absorbed. He loses an arm. He makes a deal with Mephisto to bring him back from the dead. But Mephisto steals his soul, divides it in 5 parts, and that's why he has that star-shaped thing in his stomach. I was about to say his chest nuts, in his stomach area. And so he's trying to hunt down the pieces of his soul. That it seems that all the pieces of his soul have something to do with the West Coast Avengers. That's why he's always hounding this team. So the West Coast Avengers are able to hunt him down. They have a battle. It's just, for those who don't know, Master Pandemonium, like, he has demons. When he takes his arm can turn into a demon, and his arms, his legs, can turn into demons. But the thing is, he's left without an arm or a leg, and he's sort of like he's a head flopped on the floor. So it looks so off-putting when that happens. So at the end of the story, Ben Grimm formally accepts to become an Avenger. We have poor Firebird, who really wants to be on the team. She's sort of sulking in the back. And the funny thing is, Ben Grimm is an Avenger for exactly 2 panels, because after this, he goes missing in action. No one can find him. He sort of gets like cold feet. He doesn't want to be on the team. He disappears. Poor Firebird, who was not allowed on the team, she leaves. And there's an exchange between Hawkeye and Wasp where Hawkeye's like, hey, yeah, we had another person that was going to be on the team, but she left, Firebird. We can only have 6 members. And Wasp was like, that used to be a rule, but a long time ago, not now. You can have all the people you want on your team. So this is a pretty hilarious exchange. They even laugh at how they treated Firebird so poorly. Avengers trying to hunt down Ben Grimm. They come across with this villain. His name is Headlock. He's using Griffin as like his main muscle. I don't know what's his beef with the Avengers, but he just wants to destroy him or take him down. It's sort of cool because Mockingbird is the one to be able to outsmart this Headlock guy who has mental powers and is able to defeat him. So we have Ben Grimm. He leaves the team. I don't know why. Maybe this is something happened in another comic book series where we learn why. But he says, "Just don't follow me. I'm gone. Bye." Then we have Mockingbird in issue 11. She wants to go back to S.H.I.E.L.D. She found out some bad shit went down with S.H.I.E.L.D. She wants to talk with Nick Fury. She thinks it's a great idea to go to a S.H.I.E.L.D. secret headquarters with 2 non-S.H.I.E.L.D. members, which are Hawkeye and Iron Man. This really pisses off Nick Fury when they enter the base. It's like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, I'm an Avenger. Yeah, but you can't bring anyone you want to these secret bases. We get the whole origins behind Mockingbird in this particular issue. They leave the base. A group of villains attack the Avengers. You have Razor Fist, Zaran. I don't know what this guy's name is. I've seen him pop up like in 1 or 2 comics books. I just can't remember his name. But the Avengers are able to take down these bad guys. And seemingly in the last panel, they were possibly contracted by S.H.I.E.L.D. to take them down. Like there's some shady business going down there. Then we have issues 12 and 13 where we have the worst costume ever in Marvel history. Wonder Man's costume looks horrid. But and he uses it for quite a long time. So what happens in this issue is, and there's another thing, hilarious thing. Tigra's sexual hunger is just, it's just, they can't contain it. I think she's already in a relationship with Hank Pym, but she wants to have sex with Wonder Man, which they already went down in a previous issue. Then immediately after she gets turned down by Wonder Man, she goes to Iron Man. And immediately after that, she goes and has sex with Hank Pym, like in 3 pages. So Tigra is horny as hell. While we get a series of villains that are being called by a mysterious figure who obviously it's Graviton. So he calls on Quantum, this character called Half-Life, and Zax to be part of his unstoppable physics-based villain army. So the Avengers get totally destroyed by this team of villains, with Graviton being led by Graviton. Again, during this whole situation, Tigra starts thinking, maybe it's not so bad if I have sex and I'm with Graviton. I swear to God that there's a line dedicated to that in this story. So, but the good thing is, Tigra gets a hold of herself, of her sexual hunger. She's able to return to her human form, and thanks to her, she's able to outsmart the villains and actually get the villains to take each other down. She liberates the Avengers, and she saves the day. In issue 14 and 15, this particular story arc is like one of the few story arcs I don't like. One of the reasons, we have the cat people, something I just don't like. Like the only story arcs that I don't like about this series are the ones with the cat people. So we have the Avengers having to deal with this villain. Master Pandemonium also hitches and gets involved. They go to San Francisco looking for help because Hank Pym and Tigra get taken to hell. So they go ask help from Damon Hellstorm and Hellcat, who obviously have connections to Hell. And after that, we do get a really good issue 16, where we have Tigra. She sort of have like a dual personality, multiple personality disorder, like her cat side and human side were in conflict. Now they've have combined. Now she has a tail. She's like a more complete person. At the beginning of the story, they have to deal with Tiger Shark. And what they discover is that Hank Pym's greatest enemy, Whirlwind, is in the city. So Hank Pym wants to take him down. He works with Tiger and Hellcat to try to stop Whirlwind, but there's an exchange here. So Hank Pym is the one calling the shots, and he's confronted by Whirlwind's like, "What the hell are you doing? You used to have powers. You're a freaking loser now. You're just a guy yelling at these two women. What's wrong with you?" Say, "I don't need any powers." Tries to take Whirlwind down and almost gets killed. And this just really shakes Hank Pym to the core, and it's going to have like some big repercussions further down the line in the series. We're talking about Hank Pym further in the series is going to try to commit suicide because he was so humiliated because of this. So that's just to give you like a brief idea how off the rails this series is going to start to become. So hope you guys like this video. See you guys next time. Bye.